Please be seated. You ready to go on record? Both assistant state attorneys are present. Mr. Rodgers is present, all four defense counsel. If you had an opportunity to talk to your expert.
Judge, I communicated in email. While this is a substantial amount of information, it's late disclosure. He did take a look at it, and I don't think I can argue that I'm prejudiced by it. So I'm prepared to move forward without urgency.
Okay. Who's your next witness?
Yes, Judge. The next witness will be Matt DeShazo. And I will note that I'll just go ahead and proffer what's relevant about his testimony. Mr. DeShazo is another digital forensics technician who was involved in doing data extraction from the Garmin unit as some evidence. What he's going to say is that when examining the data from the Garmin contained coordinates for the Walmart on 6 Mile Cypress, as well as the Shell station and the racetrack that we heard about yesterday. And he targeted those particular places where Mr. Wright and Mr. Rodgers had been. And he learned what Mr. Rodgers looked like from looking at pictures on one of the phones that's an evidence of Mr. Rodgers, as well as looking within their internal database. And he reviewed the video and saw Mr. Rodgers on the video. So that's kind of a similar issue with Commander Sands, so I thought I would put that out there now outside the presence of the jury. And so he's going to rely on his knowledge from seeing other pictures of Mr. Rodgers to locate a person who appears to be Mr. Rodgers on all 3 videos.
And Judge, at that time, I would make the same objection based on the same case law. If the court's going to rule on it now, I can just say objection, previous argument when it comes up. If that's okay, so we don't have to approach it.
Is that even necessary? I'm just asking. I mean, you already have the Garmin in evidence. You have the Garmin located from the vehicle in Missouri. And, I mean, I'm going to allow you to say, does it appear to look like him? I'm not going to let you explicitly identify him through that witness, but I'm just asking you in the abundance of caution if it's even necessary. I mean, that's your call, but I'm not going to let him explicitly identify him. I think counsel's right. That's the province of the jury. But if you're going to say, have you seen pictures of him and does it appear that like it looks like it could be him? Sure, but
Well, yes, Your Honor. And I think that he should be allowed to identify Mr. Rodgers as a person he saw in pictures that he looked at, and then to be able to say that a person that appeared to him to look like Mr. Rodgers was in the videos.
I think you can do that. I'm just giving you fair warning. Is it even necessary? Okay. So I think I made the right call, but you never know.
Well, it might be the right call today, and then tomorrow.
Yeah. Your case. Anything? Dare I ask anything else?
I mean, there are going to be some objections. I think there may be some items he tries to utilize.
With this witness?
Yeah.
Is there anything else we need to discuss, State, before we bring out this witness and the jury?
I think we've disposed of any matters that are known to the state at this time.
Are you going to try to move the spreadsheet as an exhibit?
Yes.
Then that is something I'm going to object to.
You guys want to discuss it now? What is it?
Okay, so there's a spreadsheet that was provided to the defense. Misters Lacombe and DeShazo, as they were poking around in the data from the Garmin, were retrieving coordinates and other data, search data from in the Garmin. And the two of them teamed up. As they recovered stuff out of the Garmin, they wrote it down in this spreadsheet. And they collaborated on the spreadsheet, writing down on the spreadsheet the data that was in the Garmin, okay? And that's not something that we can easily understand. And then they gave this spreadsheet to an analyst who put the data that they put on the spreadsheet from the Garmin onto a map. And so, for the record, the spreadsheet is an attachment to pages 3722 through 34693. And I can show the court the spreadsheet if the court would like to see the spreadsheet. So we tend to have both of the gentlemen testify to the relevant data that they recover from the Garmin and put on the spreadsheet, and then have Ms. Buchhofer says she took the data from the spreadsheet they gave her and put it onto the map.
Let me see it.
Oh,
You've got a map too. The map's not coming through this way.
no, not for these. No.
He's going to use this, as I'm assuming from what you've said, this to how you came to the locations you put on the map.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And how the witnesses documented recovering the trip data and search data from within the Garmin device.
You need a moment to look at this as well, or you have a copy already?
It's the one that, if I can just make sure it's what I had. This is the spreadsheet supplied report is the same one that was attached to his deposition and also provided in the report I got today.
Okay, the spreadsheet that I gave to the court is the spreadsheet that's attached at page 3722 through 34693 of discovery. I think I made a note on a little sticky on this, the spreadsheet the court has. The spreadsheet that we're using is the one that's attached to those specific discovery pages.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's
722, and 34,000. It's 692. It's on the blue tab.
Sorry.
30,000.
I'm sorry?
30,722.
30,722
Okay.
through 34,693. It is an attachment on that document. And the title of the attachment, I believe,
If I
is
can just-
GPS timeline.
If I could walk over to Mr. Hunter.
Sure. Do you guys want me to give you like 10 minutes?
I don't know that I need, I can make my argument very quickly once I'm sure that I'm arguing about the same document. And it's
Okay.
only one spreadsheet we've ever had. That's all I need, Jason.
And for the record, I'm marking this as exhibit number 106.
Judge, my argument essentially is going to be, I do have a copy of that. I've reviewed it. It is the same thing that we discussed in the deposition. One is the best evidence rule. The best evidence of this data is on their computers. It still exists. It's out there. If they're going to testify as to its meaning, the spreadsheet does contain some interpretation. It contains terms like likely, most likely, in the area of. It contains commentary on the evidence. In order for them to do that, they'll need to be established as experts. That I think that might be appropriate, but we haven't laid that foundation yet. I'll see if they have information.
State.
Judge, we're not offering their testimony as, we're not asking them for their opinion. They're fact witnesses. They're simply testifying as to what's within the device. I don't don't think any of us understand what the file associations and data in the Garmin look like. These are folks that have specialized training in understanding what the data looks like. But they're not giving an opinion, they're simply stating what's in the device. They're not giving an interpretation of the data, they're just simply saying what it is. They're fact witnesses, they're not expert witnesses.
If they're not experts, I don't think they can testify to this at all. I think this discussion of the fact that we can't do it, they need specialized training, probably does make them experts. But this is commentary, you know. It says likely Eastern. Well, how did they come to that? What is their opinion on that? That's an expert opinion.
How about the commentary?
Well, the commentary counsel is referring to is, for example, Mr. Lacombe made an entry, route created to Jimmy, and Jimmy is specific data that's in the Garmin, and then he has some GPS coordinates. This route was created within the vicinity of location, and then more GPS coordinates in Hillsboro, Missouri. And so he's making a note of what the Garmin device is telling him where the route was created and where the route was created to. All it is a note. It's not quite commentary. And this is the information that the two gentlemen collaborated on getting out of the Garmin unit in terms we can understand, and then giving it to Ms. Blukhoffer, who then made maps with it.
Well,
So
I guess
it's not commentary. It's fact evidence.
you're going to introduce it through which witness? The second one?
Mr. DeShazo and Mr. Lacombe, they collaborated on the document, so the plan was to get both of them to testify as to the contents of the document.
What I'm getting at, are you going to move it through the second witness then if
Yes,
they
sir.
both collaborated on
Through
it?
the
Well,
second one.
why don't we hear what they both have to say and then I'll make a ruling on it.
Let me just read one more of the commentary. This is the note. Search for Fort Myers was likely performed somewhere in the vicinity of northern parking lot at Lakes Park, and it gives GPS coordination. Search was performed on 6/28/15 between 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 6:54 Eastern Standard Time, presumably closer to 6:54. Likely, presumably, these are their interpretations, their guesses, and that's not raw data.
Well, I think I'm going to have to hear from them before I can make a decision.
Just want you to be able to think about that.
Yes, sir. Everybody's ready?
Yes, sir.
How long will your first one take? For your direct.
Well, I was hoping to actually present some portions of the videos to Mr. DeShazo, and he's my first witness. I didn't necessarily want to play the whole videos, but the plan was to play some portion of the videos. That could take 30 minutes by itself. The actual questioning would probably take 20 minutes.
Well, we'll see where we get. Bring them out.
Jury entry.
Please be seated. We'll ask our jurors again, did you follow my instructions, not talk about the case among yourselves with anybody else or look up any of the people or places involved? Even if you did so inadvertently, now would be the time to raise your hand and let me know. For the record, no jurors lifted their hand. Next witness.
State calls Matt DeShazo.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
Matthew DeShazo.
And how do you spell your last name, sir?
It's DEShazo.
And where are you employed?
Lee County Sheriff's Office.
And in what capacity are you employed there?
I am a digital forensic specialist.
And as a digital forensic specialist, what are your duties?
Mainly examine items that are electronic, such as cell phones, computers, and report on them.
And cell phones, other than cell phones and computers, are there any other devices that you've had an opportunity to examine?
Yes, I did.
What other types of devices?
External hard drives, media devices, a GPS device.
And how long have you worked with the digital forensics unit?
About 14 years.
And did you have to complete any training to be able to work in the digital forensics unit?
Yes, I did.
What type of training did you complete?
I have a bachelor's in management information systems. I have a master's in digital forensics, both from UCF, and I have CFCE, which is Certified Forensic Computer Expert, Certified Advanced Windows Forensic Examiner, Certified Electronic Evidence Collection Specialist, and 2 Cellbrite certifications.
And those certifications that you obtained, do you have to maintain those certifications?
Yes, I do.
Have you, in fact, maintained them?
Yes, I have.
What are some of the methods or tools that you use to conduct digital forensic examinations of items, like you mentioned, computers, hard drive, GPS devices, and so on?
There's a couple software tools we use. One is called Encase. Cellbrite is a tool that we use for examining cell phones. Xways is a forensics tool that we use as well.
Xways?
That's correct.
How do you spell Xways?
Xways.
And did you receive training in how to use those tools to conduct those forensic examinations of different devices?
Yes, I have.
How many times have you done a forensic examination of a digital device?
Over 1,000 cases.
Let's talk specifically about GPS units. How many times have you done a forensic examination of a GPS unit?
Probably about 10 to 20.
And specifically talking about GPS units, what methods would you employ in order to conduct a forensic examination of a GPS unit?
There's 2 tools that can be used. One would be, in this case, Encase, which is creating what's called a forensic image of the device, which is a copy of all the data on it. Cellbrite is another tool that can be used, as it's primarily geared towards mobile devices.
So even though the name of that software is Cellbrite, which implies a use with cell phones, you can still use that with examining a GPS device as well?
Yes, that's correct.
I'm going to show you what's been previously entered into evidence to State's Exhibit number 43. I'll show you what's been entered as Exhibit 43. You recognize Exhibit 43?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is a GPS device that was, I believe, collected in Missouri, and I signed it out and examined it.
And you talked about earlier that you might use EnCase to create an image of the data in the device, and you might use Cellbrite as well. Did you do that with this specific GPS unit?
Yes, I did.
And were you able to obtain, first of all, an image of the data within the GPS unit?
Yes, I was.
Can you explain to the jury, I'm guessing that an image of data is not something I can hold in my hand.
That's correct. It's basically a digital file or a series of digital files that are an exact copy of the contents of a media device.
And once you obtained that image from within the Garmin device, what did you do with it?
We work on the forensic images in order to preserve the evidence. So in this case, I used EnCase and Cellbrite to examine the data from the GPS device.
And when you examined the device, was there specific data that you were looking for?
Initially, with the Cellbrite tool, it goes through the data and produces categorizations of common data from the device, such as locations, favorites. I produced a report containing that, and I was asked to look further into the device for a specific time range.
And did you continue looking through when you say looking through the device, were you looking through the physical Garmin device that's sitting there in front of you, or were you looking through the data file you got from the device?
The data file. So the searches were performed on the copy of the data from the GPS device.
And did you locate any additional data from within the device?
Yes, I did.
How did you locate it?
With the device image loaded in the EnCase, I was able to essentially view the file structure of all the files and folders on the device. I was able to look into the dates and times of file creation and updates, and I located some files that were created during the time frame that I was asked to look at.
Okay. And did you record or write down the data that you were finding from within the Garmin?
It was entered to a chart.
Now, that image file that you created from the Garmin unit, is that something physical that you can show us in court?
No, it actually resides on a server, so it's just the set of files that are the exact copies of the data from the GPS.
And so, as you went through the data, you started jotting down the information that you were seeing within the data file?
That's correct.
Did you work on examining the data file from within the Garmin unit by yourself, or did you collaborate with anybody?
I worked on it with one of my coworkers,
Okay. And what's your coworker's name?
Michael Lacombe.
So the two of you teamed up on examining the data from within the Garmin unit?
That's correct.
Does the Garmin unit contain a unit ID?
Yes, it does.
And is that something that's actually on the unit itself?
Yes, if you were to power the device on and look at it in the settings, it has a unit ID that's assigned to it.
And did you ever reach out at some point, you and Mr. Lacombe, did you ever reach out to Garmin USA about that unit ID number?
Yes, we did.
And what was the purpose of reaching out to Garmin USA?
We had been examining the device, and we were trying to gain more knowledge about the device and see if there was any more information that Garmin might have on record related to the device.
And did you provide them with that unit ID number?
Yes, we did.
And did Garmin USA provide you with some files off their server related to that unit ID number?
Yes, they did.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as just a moment now. I'm going to show you what I'm marking as 107. State's Exhibit number 107. It's been previously shown to the defense. Actually, this time I would admit what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 107 as a self-authenticating document under seal from Garmin USA. Sure.
We'll show it admitted.
All right.
Just give everyone a moment to get settled.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, I've handed you, Mr. DeShazo, what's been entered as State's Exhibit number 106. You can open that up and tell me if you've had what's in there and if you've had an opportunity to review it.
Yes, I have.
I'm sorry, that's 107. My mistake. My mistake. And are those the files that you received from Garmin?
Yes, they are.
And the files that you received from Garmin, did that contain the same? The files contain the same unit ID number that's on the Garmin unit itself?
Yes, it did.
When you examined the data, did you find was there a connection made between the Garmin unit and Garmin USA server?
Yes, there was.
Was there an email address associated with that connection?
Yes, there was.
Best evidence. On to the next question.
And is that email within the Garmin records that you received?
Yes, it was provided to us.
And can you explain to the jury what that data consists of that's on that disk?
Yes, some of this is location data that Garmin had on their servers, as well as there was indication that a device connected to the GPS unit, and it's called a connected service, and they provided the email address that was associated with that connected service.
And what format is that? What format is that data in on the disk?
It's provided in spreadsheet.
And the sheets, the spreadsheet within the disk, those cells contain a lot of data.
Yes, they do.
Are those spreadsheets easy to print?
Not particularly.
Because there's so much data in the cells.
That's correct.
What was the email address associated with the connection from this Garmin unit to Garmin USA?
Objection, best evidence rule.
Voted for the record, overruled.
I don't recall the exact address. I do know that it contained Jimmy Rodgers at gmail.com, something along those lines.
Okay, and You mentioned earlier that as you examined the data file that you downloaded from the Garmin unit, that you started jotting down data from within the Garmin unit.
That's correct.
I want to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit number 106. I'm going to ask you if you recognize 106.
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is essentially a spreadsheet, a timeline of data that was collected from the GPS device and entered into this as notes or reference.
And that spreadsheet contains information you entered as you were looking at the Garmin.
Myself and Mike Lacombe.
The two of you collaborated on the spreadsheet.
That's correct.
And the data within the Garmin contain GPS coordinates and location data.
Yes, it did.
And I'll ask specifically about now. The office where you work in the digital forensics unit, is that part of the sheriff's office headquarters at 6 Mile Cypress, or is it located elsewhere?
It's a separate building.
You're familiar with the 6 Mile Cypress office headquarters location?
Yes, I am.
And did the location data from within the Garmin reveal some trip data of interest?
Yes, it did.
Can you tell the jury what you found as far as local gas stations in Florida?
Yes. On the morning of June 28, 2015, there were a couple searches performed on the device for, I believe, a racetrack gas station that we found to be in the Brooksville area, Brooksville, Florida, as well as a Shell gas station in Bushnell, Florida.
And as a result of the searches, did the Garmin unit also record a time of when those searches were done?
Yes, it did.
And that data was within the Garmin unit?
That's correct.
Did the Garmin unit actually travel to the racetrack?
Yes, it did.
And how do you know that the Garmin unit itself was at the racetrack?
There were coordinates after it and searches performed that indicate that it was in that location, as well as video.
Well, let's talk first about the Garmin unit. So you said the Garmin unit had data in it that indicated that it actually went to the racetrack.
I should clarify, there was data that showed that a trip was created to that location, and then there was video that was examined later.
And the Shell station. Now, you said there was some trip data in the Garmin unit that indicated that it had traveled to a Shell station.
That's correct.
And where was the Shell station located?
Bushnell, Florida.
And did the Garmin unit keep a time of when it traveled to the Shell station?
There was a time of when the search was performed. There were coordinates that were related to that search and a trip that was created to that gas station.
Approximately what time?
May I review the document?
Sure.
Okay.
Could I refresh your recollection, sir? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I should have asked the follow-up question.
Yes, that search was performed at 2:48 a.m. on June 29th, 2015.
And I don't think I asked you when the search was performed for the racetrack.
That would have been 2:14 a.m. on June 29th, 2015.
Was there also did the Garmin also have within it a search for a Walmart store?
Yes, there was a search for that as well.
And did it have coordinates for the Walmart that was searched for?
Yes, it did.
Where was that? And did you have a chance to look up those coordinates on a map?
I did.
Where was that Walmart located?
It was at the intersection of 6 Mile Cypress and US 41.
The Walmart right down the street from Lee County Sheriff's Office HQ?
Yes, it's pretty close.
What was the time and date of that search?
May I refresh my memory?
You don't have an independent recollection at this moment?
That's correct.
May he refresh his recollection from the document?
Yes, sir.
That was on June 28th, 2015 at 9:41 a.m.
Okay. Now, as a result of those searches, specifically to the racetrack and the Shell and the Walmart, did you ask now you're a civilian with the Sheriff's Office, right?
That's correct.
So you don't have any actual police powers.
That's correct.
You provide support and assistance to the detectives and sworn deputies who have the police powers.
That's correct.
When you discovered the trip searches and coordinates for the racetrack, the Shell, and the Walmart in that GPS unit, did you ask for the detectives to look at the videos from those specific locations?
At that point, I was given access to the video myself, and I verified the video.
The video had already been collected?
Yes, they had all three of these locations. The video for them had all been collected at that point.
And so you wanted to check those locations at or around those times for any information?
That's correct.
Now, have you ever met Curtis Wayne Wright before?
No, I have not.
Have you ever met Jimmy Ray Rodgers before?
No, I have not.
Did you take steps to try and figure out what Mr. Rodgers and Mr. Wright looked like?
No, I did not actively try to determine what they looked like.
Well, if you didn't know what they looked like, then what were you going to do with the videos?
Part of my examinations on the computers involved detectives reviewing data from the computers and cell phones, and I had seen pictures through the course of them reviewing my data.
And you saw pictures of whom?
Curtis Wainwright and Jimmy Ray Rodgers.
And did you review the videos yourself?
I did, yes.
And had you seen the pictures of Mr. Wright and Mr. Rodgers prior to reviewing the video?
Yes, I had.
When you reviewed the videos, let's talk first about the racetrack. When you reviewed the video from the racetrack, did you note anybody on the video that appeared to look like the pictures of Mr. Wright and Mr. Rodgers that you'd seen before?
Yes, I did. Just one of them, though, on that video.
Which one?
Jimmy Rodgers.
When you reviewed the video from the Shell station in Bushnell, did you see anybody in the video that appeared to look like Mr. Rodgers or Mr. Wright?
Yes, I did.
Which one?
Both of them.
When you reviewed the video from the Walmart, did you see anybody on the video from Walmart that appeared to look like the pictures you'd seen of Mr. Wright and Mr. Rodgers?
Yes, I did.
Which one?
Both of them.
And did you notify the detectives of your findings?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you before I move on to that. Getting back to your spreadsheet there at number number 106. Did you continue placing any data that you saw from the Garmin unit into the spreadsheet?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier that you collaborated with Mr. Lacombe. Did he also place data in the spreadsheet as well?
That's correct.
So the two of you were both working on the same spreadsheet?
Yes.
All right, let me show you first what's been previously entered into evidence as State's Exhibit number 69. And I'll show you the 69, State's Exhibit number 69 contains Exhibit 69A and 69B. Do you recognize those?
Yes, I do.
What are they?
There's a disc containing the video that was collected from Walmart, as well as a copy of it.
And does that contain the video that appeared to contain the people that look to you like Mr. Wright and Mr. Rodgers?
Yes, it does.
I'll show you. Let me just go ahead and give you exhibits 71 and 72. And let's start with 71, which contains 71A and 71B. What's contained within Exhibit 71?
71B is video from the racetrack, as well as a copy of it.
And does that video contain the video with the image of the person who appeared to be Jimmy Rodgers?
Yes, it does.
State's Exhibit number 72 is up there next to you and contains 72A and 72B. Can you tell us what that is?
Yes, this is video from the gas station in Bushnell.
The Shell station?
That's correct.
And does the video in that exhibit contain the video of the person, of the people who appeared to you to be Mr. Rodgers and Mr. Wright?
Yes, it does.
At this time, Your Honor, I'd like to publish a portion of 69B, 71B, and 72B.
Okay. You want the instruction?
Yes, please.
Members of the jury, during a separate hearing outside of your presence, the court made a legal decision about the admissibility of the videos located within Exhibits 69, 71, and 72. This is a legal decision that falls within the province of the court. However, as with any evidence and testimony, it is up to you to decide what weight to give the evidence, if any, to the videos in accordance with the instructions you will be given at the close of evidence.
For the record, I'm playing exhibit number 69B, 69 Broadway. Everybody see. Hit pause. You mentioned earlier that you saw the subjects, Mr. DeShazo, that appeared to you to look like Mr. Wright and Mr. Rodgers. Do you see them, the two subjects, present at time index at 32 seconds on Exhibit 69B?
Yes, I do.
I'm going to go ahead and stop at time index 2 minutes and 30 seconds. All right, I stopped at 2 minutes and 30, an hour and 11-minute long video, so I'll stop at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Move on to Exhibit 71B. Now, for the record, I'm publishing 71B at clock counter 2:31 a.m. Oh, I'm sorry, I pressed stop by mistake. Okay, pausing at 2 minutes, 31 seconds. All right, 2:31:08, which is by the camera clock counter embedded within the video. Let me hand you my laser, Mr. DeShazo, and you can show the jury. You told us earlier that you saw what appeared to be the person known to you as Jimmy Rodgers. Hand you my laser here, and you can show the jury where you saw that person.
Judge, I'm going to just object to my previous argument on this issue.
Noted for the record.
You can show the jury. Okay, so you're pointing to the upper right-hand corner of the video with a subject standing outside the window.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop here at index 2:31:08. This is about a 2 minute and 9 second video, unless you want me to play more. State's exhibit number 72B. 72B contains 3 files. I'll start with the file labeled Shell Gas Pumps 1. Okay, I'm going to stop at time index 4 minutes. And move on to shell front door. The file named shell front door. And I'm going to stop at time index 20 seconds on this video. Mr. DeShazo, do you see the face of the person that appeared to you to look like the images of Jimmy Rodgers you'd seen?
Yes, I do.
And is that him walking in the doors?
Yes, that is.
For the record, that's time index 20 seconds. And does the DVR recording also contain a clock that's running down in the middle of the bottom middle of the screen?
Yes, it does.
What time is it?
I actually can't quite see from here.
Okay, I paused at time index 3 minutes. You said earlier you'd seen pictures of Curtis Wayne Wright. Do you see the person who appears to you to look like Curtis Wayne Wright on the video?
Yes, I do.
Is this him coming in the door with the black shirt and glasses on?
Yes, that is.
I'll stop here at time index 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And I'll move to shell inside, the file name shell inside. Okay, I'll pause at time index 23 seconds. Again, do you see the person present at the cash register here that appeared to you to look like Jimmy Rodgers?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and I'll stop for now here at time index 38 seconds. Bless you. I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibits 73 A through G. Can you please take a look at 73 A through G and tell me if you recognize what's in 73 A through G?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
These all appear to be still photos created from the video footage from the Shell station in Bushnell.
Okay. And do those still photos appear to contain the people who appeared to you to be Jimmy Rodgers and Curtis Wright?
Yes, they do.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would admit Exhibits 73A through G and evidence of 73A through G.
Okay. We'll show them admitted.
May I publish?
You may.
Publishing 73A. B. 73C. 73D, David. 73E, Echo. 73F, Frank. And 73G, Golf. Tender the witness.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You originally tried to use Celebrite on the Garmin, correct?
I used Cellbrite and Encase. I believe I used Encase first.
Okay. But you did a Celebrite extraction.
I did, yes.
Celebrite didn't have any data for the time you were looking for, did it?
There was some in the databases, but it wasn't readily viewable in the report that was produced by Cellbrite.
Okay. So as far as the data you looked at, there was no report printed out or something tangible created from it, correct? Directly?
Not a printout, but a digital format of the report was provided.
Okay. Now, if I or if the jury were to take a look at that data, would we have any idea what we're looking at?
You might be able to look through some of the coordinates and some of the tracks in that data and make some sense out of that.
But we might not also.
That's possible.
At the time that you were reviewing this data, did you take any screenshots of it?
I don't believe so.
Now, not all of the data that you used for your spreadsheet had specific times or locations, correct?
That's correct.
So you had to estimate as far as times based on other entries into the Garmin?
That's correct.
So there's no way to tell exactly what time those entries were made?
I believe some of them there are, but some were based on the sequence of when a search was performed and then a route being created within that period.
The same general problem existed with some of the locations as far as times, correct? Or location?
On their own, yes.
So you had to kind of guesstimate as to when or where it would have been?
Well, we had locations of where some of the searches were performed, and we were able to approximate traveling time based on the next search that was performed.
So you had to perform some computations and make some, let me take away the guess part of it, some estimations as to where it would have been?
You could say that.
Now let's talk very briefly about the videos. You weren't at any of the locations at the time these videos were shot, were you?
No, I was not.
So anything that you've seen or any information you have about those events, the jury can see just as well as you can, can't they?
That's correct.
That's all, Judge.
Anything further from this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Is he to be retained or released?
He's released.
You're free to go. Thank you, sir.
With that, it'd be a good time to break for lunch. I'll instruct the jurors not to talk about the case among yourselves with anybody else. And why don't we have your report back at 1:30? It'll give you about an hour and 20 minutes. Please be seated. Anything else from the state before we break for lunch? Defense? See everybody at 1:30.